Please rise for our entrance, Lord, who throughout these 40 days
Lord, on the day I called for help, you answered me.
Lord, on the day I called for help, you answered me. The Lord is the earth and his fullness, the world and those who dwell in it. It is he who set it on the seas, on rivers he made it firm. Who shall climb the mountain of the Lord? Who shall stand in his holy place? The clean of hands and pure of heart, whose soul is not set on vain things, who has not sworn deceitful words. Blessings from the Lord shall he receive, and right reward from the God who saves him. Such are the people who seek him, who seek the face of the God of Jacob. O gates, lift high your heads, roll higher ancient doors. Let him enter, the King of glory. Who is this King of glory? The Lord the mighty, the valiant, the Lord the valiant in war. O gates, lift high your heads, roll higher ancient doors. Let him enter, the King of glory. Who is the King of glory? He is the Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Lord, on the day I called for help, you answered me.
Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love.
Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love. Why did the nations conspire, and the peoples plot in vain? May arise the kings of the Then he will speak in his anger. His rage will strike them with terror. It is I who have appointed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will announce the decree of the Lord. The Lord said to me, "You are my son. It is I who have begotten you this day. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations as your inheritance, and the ends of the earth as your possession. With a rod of iron you shall rule them. Like a potter's jar you will shatter them. Now, O kings, understand. Take warning, rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear. Exalt with trembling. Pay him your homage. Lest he be angry and you perish on the way. For suddenly his anger will blaze. Blessed are all who trust in God. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love.
Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love.
Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love.
My
My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you far from saving me? So far from my words of anguish. O my God, I call by day, and you do not answer. I call by night, and I find no reprieve. Yet you, O God, are holy, enthroned on the praises of Israel. In you our forebears put their trust. They trusted, and you set them free. When they cried to you, they escaped. In you they trusted, and were not put to shame. But I am a worm and no man, scorned by everyone, despised by the people. All who see me deride me. They curl their lips, they toss their heads. He trusted in the Lord. Let him save him. Let him release him, for in him he delights. Save me, O Lord, in your steadfast love.
When Christ came as high priest of the good things that have come to be, passing through the greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made by hands, that is, not belonging to this creation, he entered once for all into the sanctuary, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, thus obtaining eternal redemption. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the sprinkling of a heifer's ashes can sanctify those who are defiled so that their flesh is cleansed, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself unblemished to God, cleanse our consciences from dead works to worship the living God. For this reason, he is mediator of a new covenant, since a death has taken place for deliverance from transgressions under the first covenant. Those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Now where there is a will, the death of a testator must be established, for it will take effect only at death. It has no force while the testator is alive. Thus, not even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. When every commandment had been proclaimed by Moses to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of calves and goats, together with water and crimson wool and hyssop, and sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant which God has enjoined upon you." In the same way, he sprinkled also the tabernacle and all the vessels of worship with blood. According to the law, almost everything is purified by blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. Therefore, it was necessary for the copies of the heavenly things to be purified by these rites, but the heavenly things themselves by better sacrifices than these. For Christ did not enter into a sanctuary made by human hands, a copy of the true one, but heaven itself, that he might now appear before God on our behalf. Not that he might offer himself repeatedly, as the high priest enters each year into the sanctuary with blood that is not their own. If that were so, he would have had to suffer repeatedly from the foundation of the world. But now, once for all, he has appeared at the end of the ages to take away sin by his sacrifice. Just as it is appointed that human beings die once, and after this, the judgment, so also Christ, offered once to take away the sins of many, will appear a second time, not to take away sin, but to bring salvation to those who eagerly await him.
He was led like a lamb to the slaughter, no complaint from his lips against the evil done to him. He was given up to death,
to give his people life.
He surrendered himself to death and was counted among the wicked,
to give his people life.
Keep me safe, O God. You are my hope.
Yes,
Yes, it was you who took me from the womb, entrusted me to my mother's breast. To you I was committed from birth. From my mother's womb you have been my God. Stay not far from me. Trouble is near, and there is no one to help. Many bulls have surrounded me. Fierce bulls of Bashan close me in. Against me they open wide their mouths, like a lion rending and roaring. Like water I am poured out, disjointed are all my bones. My heart has become like wax, it is melted within my breast. Parched as burnt clay is my throat, my tongue cleaves with my jaws. You lay me in the dust of death, for dogs have surrounded me. A band of the wicked beset me. They tear holes in my hands and my feet.
Keep
Keep me safe, O God. You are my hope. Lord, remember me in your love.
Lord, remember me in your love. I can count every one of my bones. They stare at me and gloat. They divide my clothing among them. They cast lots for my robe. But you, O Lord, do not stay afar off. My strength make haste to help me. Rescue my soul from the sword, my life from the grip of the dog. Save my life from the jaws of the lion, my poor soul from the horns of wild beasts. I will tell of your name to my kin, and praise you in the midst of the assembly. You who fear the Lord, give him praise. All descendants of Jacob, give him glory. Receive him, all you descendants of Israel. Lord, remember me in your love.
O Lord, hear my prayer. Let my cry come to you.
O Lord, hear my prayer. Let my cry come to you. For he has never despised, nor scorned the poverty of the poor. From him he has not hidden his face, but he heard him whenever he cried. You are my praise in the great assembly. My vows I will pay before those who fear him. The poor shall eat and shall have their fill. They shall praise the Lord, those who seek him. May their hearts live on forever and ever. All the earth shall remember and return to the Lord. All families of the nations worship before him. For the kingdom is the Lord's. He is ruler of the nations. They shall worship him, all the mighty of the earth. Before him shall bow all who go down to the dust. And my soul shall live forever. My descendants serve him. They shall tell of the Lord to generations yet to come. Declare his saving justice to peoples yet unborn. These are the things of the Lord has done. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. O Lord, hear my prayer. Let my cry come to you.
The beginning of Lamentations of the prophet Jeremiah. Aleph. How lonely sits the city that once was full of people. How like a widow she has become, she that was great among the nations, she that was precious among the provinces, has become a vassal. That day, she weeps bitterly in the night, with tears on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she has no one to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They have become her enemies. Camille, Judah has gone into exile, with suffering and hard servitude. She lives now among the nations, and finds no resting place. Her pursuers have all overtaken her in the midst of her distress. They leap. The roads to Zion mourn, for no one comes to the festivals. All her gates are desolate. Her priests groan, her young girls grieve, and her lot is bitter. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, turn to the Lord your God.
On the Mount of Olives, he prayed to the Father, Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Be vigilant and pray, that you will not give way to temptation.
The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Remember your mercies, Lord.
Remember your mercies, Lord.
Have mercy on me, O God,
According to your merciful love, according to your great compassion, blot out my transgressions. Wash me completely from my iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. My transgressions truly I know them. My sin is always before me. Against you, you alone have I sinned. What is evil in your sight I have done. So you are just in your sentence, without reproach in your judgment. For seeing guilt I was born, a sinner when my mother conceived me. Yes, you delight in sincerity of heart. In secret you teach me wisdom. Cleanse me with hyssop, and I shall be pure. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Let me hear rejoicing and gladness, that the bones you have crushed may exult. Turn away your face from my sins, and blot out all my guilt. Create a pure heart for me, O God. Renew a steadfast spirit within me. Do not cast me away from your presence. Take not your Holy Spirit from me. Restore in me the joy of your salvation. Sustain in me a willing spirit. I will teach transgressors your ways, that sinners may return to you. Rescue me from bloodshed, O God, God of my salvation, and then my tongue shall recount your justice. O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall proclaim your praise. For in sacrifices take no delight. Burnt offering from me you would not please you. My sacrifice to God, a broken spirit, a broken and humble heart, O God, you will not spurn. In your good pleasure show favor to Zion. Rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. Then you will delight in right sacrifice, burnt offerings wholly consumed. Then you will be offered young bulls on your altar. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. Remember your mercies, Lord.
My soul is thirsting for God.
My soul
He has strengthened the bars of your gates. He has blessed your children within you. He established peace on your borders. He gives you your fill of finest wheat. He sends out his word to the earth, and swiftly runs his command. He showers down snow like wool. He scatters hoar-frost like ashes. He hurls down hailstones like crumbs. Before such cold who can stand? He sends forth his word and it melts them. At the blowing of his breath the waters flow. He reveals his word to Jacob, to Israel his decrees and judgments. He has not dealt thus with other nations. He has not taught them his judgments. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. My soul is thirsting for God.
The Lord is my light and my salvation.
The
The Lord is my light and my salvation.
O Lord, I have heard your renown, and I am in awe, O Lord, of your work. In the course of years revive it. In the course of years make yourself known. In your wrath remember compassion. God came from Teman, the Holy One from Mount Hermon. His glory covered the heavens, and his praises filled the earth. His splendor spread like the light. He raised his horns high. He rejoiced in the day of his strength. He came forth to save your people, to save your anointed one. You trampled the sea with your horses, amid the churning of deep waters. I hear, and my body trembles. At the sound, my lips quiver. Decay invades my bones. My legs tremble beneath me. I await the day of distress that will come upon the people who attack us. For though the fig tree does not blossom, and no fruit appears on the vine, though the yield of the olive fails, and the terraces produce no nourishment, though the flocks disappear from the fold, and there is no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, and exalt my saving God. God, my Lord, is my strength. You make my feet swift as those of a deer, and enable me to tread upon the heights. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. The Lord is my light and my salvation.
If we wish to understand the power of Christ's blood, we should go back to the ancient account of its prefiguration in Egypt. Sacrifice a lamb without blemish, commanded Moses, and sprinkle its blood on your doors. If we were to ask him what he meant, and how the blood of an irrational beast could possibly save men endowed with reason, his answer would be that the saving power lies not in the blood itself, but in the fact that it is a sign of the Lord's blood. In those days, when the destroying angel saw the blood and the doors, he did not dare enter. So much less will the devil approach now when he sees not that figurative blood on the doors, but the true blood on the lips of believers, the doors of the temple of Christ. If you desire further proof of the power of this blood, remember where it came from, how it ran down from the cross, flowing from the Master's side. The Gospel records that when Christ was dead, but still hung on the cross, a soldier came and pierced his side with a lance, and immediately there poured out water and blood. Now the water was a symbol of baptism, and the blood of the Holy Eucharist. The soldier pierced the Lord's side. He breached the wall of the sacred temple. And I have found the treasure and made it my own. So also with the lamb, the Jews sacrificed the victim, and I have been saved by it. There flowed from his side water and blood. Beloved, do not pass over this mystery without thought. It has yet another hidden meaning, which I will explain to you. I said that water and blood symbolized baptism and the Holy Eucharist. From these two sacraments, the Church is born. From baptism, the cleansing water that gives rebirth and renewal through the Holy Spirit, and from the Holy Eucharist. Since the symbols of baptism and the Eucharist flowed from his side, it was from his side that Christ fashioned the church, as he had fashioned Eve from the side of Adam. Moses gives a hint of this when he tells the story of the first man and makes him exclaim, "Bone from my bones and flesh from my flesh." As God then took a rib from Adam's side to fashion a woman, so Christ has given us blood and water from his side to fashion the church. God took the rib when Adam was in deep sleep, and in the same way, Christ gave us the blood and water after his own death. Do you understand, then, how Christ has united his bride to himself, and what food he gives us all to eat? By one and the same food, we are both brought into being and nourished. As a woman nourishes her child with her own blood and milk, so does Christ unceasingly nourish with his own blood those to whom he has given life.
The price of your redemption was not something of fleeting value like silver or gold, but the costly shedding of the blood of Christ, the Lamb without blemish.
Through him, in the one Spirit, we can approach the Father.
The blood of Jesus Christ washes away all our sins.
Through him, in the one Spirit, we can approach the Father.
The Lord leads me in safe paths.
The Lord leads me in There he gives me repose. Near restful waters he leads me. He revives my soul. He guides me along the right path for the sake of his name. Though I should walk in the valley of the shadow of death, no evil would I fear. For you are with me. Your crook and your staff will give me comfort. You have prepared a table before me in the sight of my foes. My head you have anointed with oil. My cup is overflowing. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. In the Lord's own house shall I dwell for length of days unending. Glory to the Father and to the Son and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. The Lord leads me in safe paths.
The Lord remembers his covenant forever.
The Lord remembers his covenant forever. My soul proclaims the Lord my God. My spirit sings wicked